Well, I want to give props because I think what Mallory shared to close down your last call, Sean, like that is spot on. What, the very first lesson, like go have your experiential learning. Like now you have a client, you get to learn. Like you can't just like have hypothetical clients, y'all. You can't study your way to six figures. And I think tonight's call is just definitely awesome guest to be able to have with us tonight to really prove that proof in the pudding, right, Rex? Like how much you just go at it, go, just even from the beginning, go make messes. I promise there's people here to help you clean it up if you're willing to just do the daggone thing. So that's always been my fun thing with you, y'all. We are doing the we call our GOAT call because definitely my guest definitely fills that seat beyond measure. So I'm excited to have Rex Knight, the Rex Knight, on with us. Multiple Golden Pen winner. He's an elite producer, agency owner, and just such a humble guy. Like I remember getting to be in the room with you in Lumberton and just watch how you're like smooth about the phones and yet understanding that you just had to learn how to suck enough to get good. And that's always been my motto, So I was very excited when you said that you would come on because, you've had multiple months, $100,000 months. That doesn't happen by accident. And it doesn't happen with hypothetical clients either, does it, Rex? Right?
Not at all.
So if I've left anything out, I mean, I definitely share a little bit about you, like, how long you've been here and really what, put perspective because we have a mixed group on here
Yeah.
from brand new Mallory day one dialing to Sean Shannon, the Sean Shannon EVP. So let's roll.
Nice. Yeah, well, I think the $20 I've Venmo you made might have been enough. So thanks for the introduction, Dana. That's really, really sweet of you. But yeah, guys, as Dana mentioned, I've been able to get some success in this business, and what I would love to do in the next hour that I have with you guys is just see what I can pour into you and how I can pay it forward. This business has been such a blessing to me. People like Dana, Courtney, and Sean, I consider friends, and I've learned so much from you guys. And I'm not afraid to say that Sean Shannon is my favorite Wayland 130. Uh, I've said that for a long time, and that's true. The gone are the days of those battles, but Sean's old school. He's been around for a while, but no matter how big his agency got, he always stayed humble and always stayed very approachable. And I've always appreciated that about you, Sean. So thanks for always being a good friend and always leading from the front. But yeah, guys, I got my start here 10 years ago. Prior to coming to Symmetry, I was in the field of dentistry for 11 and a half years. So no sales experience. Uh, Found myself at 30 years old, basically looking for a new way to reinvent myself and try to figure out the next steps. Wasn't the most ideal time. So those of you on the call, you feel like, well, man, commission sales is just not really ideal. I had just built a brand new home that I'm currently sitting in my office over my garage, and had we just had our daughter like a year ago, and 3 or 4 years into our marriage. So commission sales didn't make sense on paper, but neither did punching the clock and barely living but above my means, barely, just barely, right? So that's how I got my start here, Dana. Outside of that, I think you nailed everything. But yeah, whatever you want to dive into, I know we've got some things you want to cover. We had a really good conversation earlier today. While I'm in my Hornets gear, I just came from Charlotte straight to this meeting. We watched the Hornets get their butt kicked last night, which was still fun to be there. My daughter's first game. I actually got a signature from one of my favorite Hornets,
Wow.
Muggsy Bogues, right here.
Love
Um,
that.
those of you
Making
over the age of
memories.
35 probably know who Muggsy Bogues is. If not, you're probably like, I'll say this, he was in Space Jam. If that wasn't cool enough that he was one of the coolest Charlotte Hornets, he was in the original, the good Space Jam, the original one, the one with the goat in it. Talking about goat call. The goat call was in the original Space Jam, right? No, no, no kicks to LeBron. That was a pretty decent Space Jam, but nothing trumps the original Space Jam. All right. Um, I digress. But in case you wonder, why is this guy showing up in the Hornets gear? That's why. Like, I don't know what else to wear. I had this on today when I left Charlotte, so I just kept it on.
I think
Um,
it's great. So where to start. Some of what you just said, you connected the dots when you started, right? May not have been best timing. I think one of my favorite things we were talking about, your perspective, season of push. That's probably the best place because if we have that whole mixed skill set on here, can you share that? Because I think that puts everybody in the right framework for what they get to learn with you tonight.
You mean like the season of push?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say, guys, if you're brand new here, or you've been here 6 months, or if you've been here for 6 years, if you can have a season to push in your business, call hosted recently for the Delaney Master Agent. I talking about the great separator, like what can separate you from mediocrity, from like lack of consistency, will be a big push. And for me, that's if you're a full-time agent here, it's getting in front of 100 people in 100 days. If you can get in front of 100 people in 100 days, you're going to solve lots of problems: confidence, posture, cash flow, rebuttals, underwriting. You can drag that out for 6 months, or you can knock it out in 100 days. It's really up to you. But to be completely transparent with you guys, my day to day isn't so much different than it was right after that big push early for me, right? I learned all the rebuttals, I learned all the underwriting, I made all the mistakes in a short time frame by doing massive action and constant correction. I bothered Ayers and Sicily so much that first 3 to 6 months, and really became what I would call a student of the business and learned to master the basics, because I knew that if I could figure it out early, because I didn't have any sales training or sales success in the past, then I should be able to maintain and sustain success. So if you're part-time, just cut that number in half. Get in front of 50 people in 100 days. And I promise you, for the rest of your career here, from a sales side, you won't run into anything so off or so different than what you encountered in that time of push. Because you're going to hear everything there. You're going to experience everything there. You're going to learn what you need to learn, and you're going to come out on the other side probably with a couple of promotions and a pretty decent cash flow.
I think, a lot of times people just kind of want to, the fear kind of interferes with that logic of if you just look at 100 people, 100 days, what do you learn? And we always just tell people, go make a mess. Your job is to keep me busy, make a mess. Well, I'll help you clean it up. But if you have 100 people, no doubt you're not making messes. Like you're gonna have to learn through experience. So I love that because it really sets that mindset of, we talk about one of our core values of that massive action, constant correction. But the definition of massive action, it seems to be what people want to make it to be. And when
Mhm.
you talk about that push and really what is it that made your first 90 days make the rest of your 9 years and 7 months, like what did it all look like? You said it was all set by exactly what you did those
Mhm.
first 90 days and made all the difference. So if you were talking about getting more people to grow that belief, that willingness to really lean in, um how would you coach someone on massive action itself and really owning, are they getting to that 100 people? Are they
Yeah.
doing consistency?
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said belief. I think it's really hard to put in massive action when there's a lack of belief. And Cicely challenged me early on. She was like, "Hey Rex, do you have life insurance?" I said, "Yeah, well, I have a term policy I took out when we got married." She's like, "Do you own a policy of one of our carriers?" I was only here like 6 weeks. I was just learning how to spell insurance at that time, right? And she was like, "No, well, you're going in the home. You're talking to these people. You need to own a policy." So I went and got myself a home certainty ROP. Back in the day when the ROP was had some, it was a good ROP, 100%, return of premium or the rollover. And I tell you what, Dana, I wore that folder out. I pulled it out in just about every single home I went into. And if it ever got to a 50-50 call where the client was like, "I'm not really sure," I say, "Hey, look, this may or may not help you, but here's what I did for my family." I reached into my briefcase, pulled out that policy. It was raggedy by that point. I think I ordered 3 or 4 cover folders. And I just said, "Hey, here's what I decided to do for my family. That's exactly what I'm offering you." You talk about bridging that gap and connecting with the client. Whenever you're saying, "Hey, I'm not offering you a Toyota and I drive a Honda." No, look, here's my Honda, right? Or here's my Toyota rather. Like I have the same product as you. That's one of the things that's always got me. Like I'm not picking on car sales. I think car salesmen are a little highly liked above us a little bit. Like we're both at the bottom of the same barrel, right? I think they avoid us probably a little bit more at like barbecues and birthday parties than the car salesman, right? But you show up on the lot. You've done your research, right? And you're there with your family and you're looking, you really, really want this Honda Accord. You've done the research. It's the red one. It's got the sunroof and the media package, everything. And all of a sudden, Johnny Salesman comes out and he says, "Hey, welcome to our lot. What has you looking at a Honda?" "Well, hey, I want this for my family." It's, "Oh, you got the most reliable car on the road. I see you got your kids. Resale value's high. Gets 38 miles to the gallon. Let's take it for a test drive." And I said, "Hold just one second. Do you have kids?" "Yeah, I've got two." He pulls out his phone. "Here's my kids." "Awesome. You drive a car?" "Yeah, yeah, I drive a car." "What do you drive?" "Well, I drive a Toyota Camry." "Oh, so your family, Rex, my family, Johnny Salesman, is worth protecting with the best car on the road, highest resale value, safety, all these things, but not your family." You see that lack of like transparency, that lack of belief in the product? That's a long story to say this. If you haven't first sold yourself, quit fooling yourself that you're going to be able to help a lot of people. If you don't own a policy from one of the carriers that we offer, and if there's medical conditions, weight conditions, there's accidental policies, everybody can qualify for an accidental with ROP. I love to do that for people with extreme medical condition or extreme weight conditions. If they're 20 to 55, they can get ROP with Foresters and a few, one of the carriers. So just a little tidbit of info there. But that leads into the massive action, Dana. That leads into that belief, that knowing why you're here, knowing that you have value to add. Like there's no cape behind my back. I'm not Superman. But there's very few things on this planet that carry more weight and merit than helping people protect their family's financial future. Wouldn't you agree with that, guys? Like barring a roof over my family's head and food on the table, the very next thing is making sure they can stay in the same school. Marshall doesn't have to work 2 jobs, 3 jobs to replace my income, and that we can keep a comfortable lifestyle. Everything else can go. So if you don't have that same conviction, that same buy-in, it's going to be really tough for you to get to the point where you can put in that massive action. And massive action looks different for everybody. I want you to write this down. It doesn't matter how many dials it takes. What matters is how many appointments you need to win. That's what matters. In the beginning, I put in 400 to 600 dials to earn the right to put in 80 to 100 to get the same result. Right? But I had to have 15 appointments going in the field, driving 2 to 3 hours one way. Right? 12 to 15 appointments. Cicely said if I had less than 6, my car should stay in park for the day. Right?
Right.
So you think it mattered to me how many dials? No, guys, get that out of your head. Focus on the appointment count, know your skill set, know your show ratio, know your numbers, work backwards from that. And let that be your driving force. I'm impressed by your numbers. You got to start somewhere. But if $500 is only getting you 8 appointments, be willing to put in 750.
I think that's worth diving in even more on that topic right there, just because so many times people start with, oh, I think my goal, because everybody says make, 300 dials in a week. And that perspective of, well, it's not about what everybody else's race is, it's what your own race is. And if your goal really is, I need 3,000 a month, I need 300 a month, I need 30,000 a month, dive into that, because I think it all goes exactly to what you just said. What does it take to get what you want? Let's
Yeah.
kind of break that a little more.
And you guys are like my grandkids. I can holler at y'all and send you home. So I'm okay being a little tough on you guys because I love you guys and I want you to win. So I'll let Sean and Shannon and Courtney and Dana and all the other leaders on this call deal with the aftermath. Well, Rex, did this or did no. No, I'm gonna tell you
Beat
like
them
it is.
up, man. Go ahead. Let's go.
Tell you like it is. What's next on the docket? I know we talked about
Oh,
that massive action piece.
well, what I
Um,
wanted to talk about is, because I think one of the things with that goal setting and kind of set a goal, work backwards from it. And you just walked into it. So I kind of wanted to elevate that, because I think a lot of times what happens is, we set goals, we have vision boards. I mean, I'm looking at what you get, and people forget when you get to where you want, you forget raise the bar. Or you got to decide, is your bar to raise or is your race where you needed it to be? But how, no matter what, do you keep with massive action?
Yep,
And that's something
absolutely.
we talked about is, that 20 to 30,000 K in commission, it might take me 100 appointments. You might be able to do it in five,
Mhm.
but how do we get the same result, the same
Yeah,
goal?
that's fantastic. So whenever I came into the business, I asked Ayers and Sicily what their top person was doing. I wanted to know what they were doing. I wanted to know where they were reading. I wanted to know what their schedule looked like. I wanted to know their lead flow. I wanted to know as much as I could to get a competitive advantage. Because again, guys, I had no sales experience. I didn't have the goal of finishing my first year where I did, but I did have a goal of making as much money as I can because we were in a bad place financially. Okay. So I know I needed every advantage. So I knew that if it took that person 12 appointments, it's probably going to take me 16 to 18 to get the same results. But if it took 20, it didn't matter. So you can work backwards. You can reverse engineer where you want to be. Once you figure out how to write 25 grand a month consistently, you can do that in 40 to 50 hours a week in the beginning. And then you can scale that back and focus on getting recruits in or whatever you're looking to do to become an AO, whatever the case may be. You don't ever replace your experience with something else. You keep experience and hustle together. In the beginning, what you lack in experience, you make up for in hustle. Then you're able to scale back that hustle, but put it somewhere else, right? You're not going to always have to make $500. You're not going to always have to book 20 appointments to write 5 to 10K in production. Okay. You'll be able to replace that skill set and be able to do more things in the business to free up your time and build that passive income if that's what you're here to do. But you can always reverse engineer a game plan. Like the first month I wrote over 100,000 in production, I knew that up to that point, I've only ran 12 to 15 appointments a week. And 12 to 15 appointments a week had me averaging about 35,000 in a month in production. And Casey Watkins always said, if you 2x if you're 2x your lead flow, you can 4x your APV, right? And I was like, I've always gotten 12 to 15 A leads, handful of bonus leads, and gotten a lot of referrals and a lot of rollovers to get to my 12 to 15 appointments a week, right? What would happen if I booked 25 or 30 appointments a week, right? So that's what I set out to do. I spent, I normally would spend about 800 to $900 a week in leads. And then I doubled that to 1,500. And then I said, look, what would happen if I spent 2,000? So my first month, I spent $8,700 in leads. Okay. And I wrote $111,000 of cap production. And my average appointments per week was 27 appointments per week. Whereas before, up to that point, I was only doing 10 to 12. 15 before. If I was in a contest, I would do a little bit more. But it wasn't that I got better. It wasn't that I was luckier. It's just I got more reps. I already knew that I had a 75% show ratio and a 90% close ratio. So therefore, the numbers were working in my favor. I know I can scale now. But if you don't have a baseline, if you don't know where you're at, you don't know where your skill set allows you to be, it's impossible to scale. And how are you going to come up with a baseline if you've not put in enough activity to know where you stand? Because you can't spell success without suck. It's right in the beginning for a reason, like right there, right? So, yeah, in order for you to be able to scale, in order for you to be able to hit those goals, you got to know how good you are. You got to know what areas you need work on, but you can outwork it. If it took me, what was it, 108 appointments to write the 111 grand, well, if you are so audacious that you want to do that, you just want to prove it to yourself or win a contest or whatever the case may be, what would it matter if it took you 150 appointments? Like just 1 month, you sacrifice 75 hours a week. People do that for a third of the income we get to make here, right? So just encouraging you, but you're running your own race. I want to remind you of that. I told Dana that like 10 times in our call today. What happens on our national call? Chris Leak wraps up the call with an amazing call today in a national call saying, hey, you're running your own race. So I guess that message needs to be spread. Remember that, guys. Everybody's chasing somebody. Sean's chasing the guy ahead of him. Marshall's chasing the guy ahead of him. The Casey and Brendan are chasing the industry standard, right? We're all looking to somebody, but you got to remember you're running your own race. You're running your own race. Are you getting the success you want out of this business? If not, why? Let's talk about it and let's reverse engineer a game plan to get you there.
So 111,000 pack. That's crazy. I love it. I could only hope. Oh, well, no, I will someday. So here's the
Why
thing. Let's
not?
dive into kind of part of the process of all you did. It's the same thing that Mallory gets on the phone today. Sorry, Mallory, I'm picking on you because you were awesome in the hot seat there. Mallory gets on the phone, makes the first dial, and Rex did the exact same thing that Mallory did. Oh my gosh, you picked up a phone, you made an appointment, right? So here's the thing. And the only difference between you and her, time and activity, let's talk about what you do within it. Your no-show cancellation. Can you talk about that rate?
Like when I book an appointment and the people that show up,
How many show? What's
yeah,
your show
if I book
factor?
10 appointments in a week, I'm going to sit in front of seven of them.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
nowadays.
That's
Nowadays.
impressive.
Yeah.
70% show factor. How many of you would love to be able to have a 70% show factor? Right? You're going to spend the time, the effort, the lead money. So, can you talk a little bit about how you are able to really kind of tie that down so you do the first part of the effort, getting them to show up?
Right. For me at this stage, and again, I want to stress highly, consult your upline. Disclaimer: it's kind of like the drugs that can cure one thing, but they take the next 90 seconds to tell your eyeballs will fall out. Your hair may turn purple, your dog will leave you, your girlfriend will grow cold, like a bad country song. Get with your upline and make sure before you make any major changes. We're here to do minor tweaks. Most people are a lot closer to success than they think. Don't throw everything out the window because I said I'm doing this and you're not doing this, okay? But for me, at this stage in my career, I'm less concerned about the medical because I've got underwriting pretty much down pat and more concerned about digging into the why and locking in the time, right? I'm still asking the basic things like, hey, anything major the doctor has you, on medication for? What's that height, weight, and do you use tobacco, right? And for me, I like, if you're taking notes, write this down. You need to humanize the experience. Humanize the experience. People are expecting robotic, they're expecting rust, they're expecting polish, they're expecting to go to war with you for lack of better words. And if you can just humanize the experience by just being relaxed, it's gonna go a long ways. You're gonna find yourself getting less and less rebuttals. Okay. You have 3 to 4 pieces of like proof, like evidential things on the piece of paper that separates you from every other telemarketer out there. You know their name, you know their address, you know their age within reason, and you know the balance on the mortgage within reason, right? If those telemarketers making 500 calls a day had a third of that, they'd be tickled to death, right? So you can sit back, like, just relax. Yeah, you need to be putting in activity. But for me, if I'm on the phone, Dana, I like having there's a if you have Apple Music, there's a channel called Beat Instrumentals. It's just really like easygoing, cool, chill music. Um, got my lemon water in my mug here, and I usually just walk the room. I'm in a sit stand desk, so I'll just walk the room out. I'm relaxed. I've got the lead in my hand. I'm on the phone. I'm old school. I like to have the lead in my hand. If it's digital, obviously that's a different thing. But you're having a conversation, Dana. I mean, if you're having a conversation with them, when things come up in the appointment in that conversation, you could always point back to the data you have. If I'd say, "Hey, Dana, this is Rex following up with you from the Mortgage Protection Center. Hope you're having a good day." If it's a bonus lead, I'm saying, "Hey, Dana, it could have been a little while ago, but you or someone in the household filled out a form that was mailed out to you that would protect your family if you became disabled or pass away. I've got you here at 123 Main Street, age 37, an original loan amount around 200,000. Is that still about right?" So those 3 pieces of information are within reason accurate. My goal on the phone is to not get a no in the beginning, right? I do ask if they're having a good day. I don't always recommend that. For me, at my posture, I can do that. In the beginning, I got hung up on a lot when I tried to do that because I'm just a gentleman. At the end of the day, it's how my mom raised me. Um, But yeah, so for me, it's really that flow. It's a cadence. It's a posture. It comes from putting in a lot of reps. Would you not agree that if I hadn't figured out how to do this well in 10 years, I should probably find a different career path? Is that fair?
Yeah,
Right?
but I would think with 100 people in 100 days, you figured it out in 100 days too.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that posture is everything, and we can get into phone stuff, we can get into rebuttals, but man, you'll see those things vanish where your confidence and posture appear. Rebuttals will vanish in the thin air where your confidence and posture appears, and that only comes from putting in the reps. Nobody came here with a golden phone, right? We all had to put in the
These
reps to
aren't
get
better
there.
than mine. What? Nuh-uh.
No,
Come on.
these things cost a mortgage payment, and they barely have signal to call people nowadays. I don't know.
So I love every time I've heard you, whether it's a national call, whether it's been in person or just sitting here getting to talk with you. I'm gonna share something you said once upon a time, and you run
Uh-oh.
with it wherever you go.
Okay.
Okay. You had said your greatest threat to not achieve your greatest result is your inability to execute with excitement mentally, virtually, and verbally. So when you're on the phone,
Hmm.
what I took from that is your excitement, your posture. But you just said something a second ago about putting yourself, like thinking through their perspective, who you're calling, your client, right? And so when I hear you say like execute with excitement mentally, virtually, verbally, you're using those three things with your client. That to me is a mindset inward, but also a projection outward. So what would you say to that? How would you dive into that a little bit?
Yeah. So that came, and I think that day I was at Lumberton. Sometimes I don't know, guys. I'm like one of those like traveling evangelists. I don't remember exactly what I said in the heat of the moment, but it was probably decent. I would imagine it was definitely G-rated and probably helpful. But yeah, so what I was getting after there, guys, is like I want people to have like a triple confirmation. I want them to buy in emotionally to why they need to help. Like going down that same path earlier. So John, I sent in that form. Well, I don't remember doing that. Hey man, I don't remember what I had for breakfast last week. Let me make sure I'm talking to the right person. I have 123 Main Street, 188,000 with Wells Fargo. Does that sound about right, or do I need to let them know they gave me the wrong data? No, that's me. Okay, cool. So let me ask you this then, John. Would it still be a burden on your family today as it was 6 months ago when you send this in if they lost your income? I'm gonna say that again. Would it still be a burden for your family today, like it was a few months ago when you sent this in, if your family lost your income today? Yeah. Hey, that's exactly why I'm calling. Do you mind if I help you get that taken care of? Yeah. I'm looking to disarm people. I'm looking to disarm people. I'm not kumbaya. I'm not the nicest guy. I fumble over my words. Sometimes fumbling over my words cost me $82. That hurts a little bit. All right. But I get better. There's still a 4x return if I put in the work, Dana. Right? Leads are leads. They're not sales. If they were sales, they would all be probably 250 to $500 per lead, right? But yeah, it's that conversation piece. It's that working from that. So what I want when I get them on the phone, I want to have them to buy in emotionally. I need to know that they need this. I need to know that it matters. Okay. I don't have to get 3 levels deep. I just need to know, is there a concern that needs to be addressed? Is there a person in mind? Is there a reason for us to be on the phone? Number one. Number two, I want them to buy in to the appointment, like commit to that time. So verbally, they need to let me know, hey Rex, we're both at home Monday through Thursday, about 6:15. Both me and the wife are at home. Okay, cool. So I'm looking at Monday of next week, or whatever the case may be, no more than 48 hours out. Looking at Monday, I have a 6:45, or Tuesday I can do a 7:30. Which one of those works best for you? Okay. Guys, if you're using Switchboard, if you're using Calendly, whatever the case may be, they're both great no matter what platform. Just make sure it's a good platform. I'm going to go ahead and get them to commit right here. So here comes the electronic commitment. So I've got the emotional commitment, right? I've got the verbal commitment. Here comes the electronic commitment. And I love to tell people, hey, look, um, I know that this is important to you, and it's important that I show up for you as well, so that I can go in and lock in that prime time appointment. Because to be honest with you, I help most of my families after 5 o'clock. So I'm gonna go ahead and get you locked in before it gets filled in. I'm gonna go ahead and get their email address or their number, and I'm gonna put it in my calendar appointment. I'm gonna send it over to them. And I'm gonna say, hey, do us a favor. I'm gonna use the word us. Now, don't do me a favor, do us a favor. I'm here to help you. I don't need life insurance. I already have two policies. You need it, right? So do us a favor. Did you see that text come through? Okay, open that up for us. Okay, scroll down. Do you see where it says click here to agree to meeting? Go ahead and click that. All right. What that's going to do is two things. That's going to lock you in my calendar, John, so that I don't forget about you. And it's going to send you a reminder a day before and an hour before our appointment so you don't forget about me. Also, probably, I think 10 to 15 minutes before. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. And lastly, John, go ahead and text your wife or give her a call as soon as we hang up. Don't do like me and wait till 10 minutes before dinner reservations to let her know we got to be out the door. And they usually chuckle, right? So I want them to have some buy-in. I want to have that emotional connection to know that they need my help. I want to hear them verbally tell me the time. John, what time did we say again? I'm gonna put you in my paper calendar so we definitely don't forget. Oh, 7:30 on Tuesday. Okay, yeah, that's what it shows on my computer. What does it show on your end? 7:30. They're gonna say it back to me. So 2 to 3 times within the last few minutes of our call, that time has been said strategically, so it doesn't sound repetitive. And I'll say, last thing, John, I need you to do me a favor. Now I'm saying, do me a favor. Could you give me a call if for any reason you can't make it? I get it. Kids get sick. You forgot about a dance recital or a church event. Could you let me know as soon as possible so that I can help the next family? Because as I mentioned, I can't get in front of enough families. They got me covering 15, 20 families a week. So I don't really have enough time to get in front of everybody. Is that fair to ask? Okay, cool. Can I count on you for that? And I'm not gonna just throw you under the bus. I'm throwing myself too. If anything comes up and I can't make it because I have a family too, I'll let you know as soon as I can. Do you hear the humanity in that, guys? Like the connection from a like, hey, this is just two people kept connecting around the common goal of trying to help them, right? The empathy, the connection. I keep coming back to the human experience because in a very AI driven world, in a very data driven world, in a very like technology driven world, the human element is still the most powerful thing out there. And if you can connect with people on their level and make them feel some kind of way about it, and they know that you're for them and that you mean business and that you're a busy person, you can't have a thimble full of boldness and a lot of posture if you got 4 appointments in a week, right? So
Right.
I digress, but that's when you do those things in a call, you'll find yourself going anything north of 50 is pretty good. 70, 75 is about where you're going to cap out, in my humble opinion. I've talked to some of the best people better than me, and they're somewhere around 70 or 75 as well. Don't try to get higher than a 75% play show ratio virtually or over the phone. Just book a couple more appointments. All right. So if you're anywhere between 50 and 60, that's pretty good. 60 to 70, that's really great. 70, 75, that's pretty much king of the hill. Kind of set up camp there and just book a few more appointments if you need a few more sits.
I love that. Just do a little bit more. Don't focus so much on only what you have. Add a little bit more. So what you're doing is, and it goes along with where, like making sure that they show up in the moment, in that dialogue. Because what is it you said? If they don't show up in the moment, how are they going to show up at the time?
Yep.
I love that. Like
Yep.
that's so true. What would make them show up when it's time if they can't even show up for you right now in that empathetic two-way, almost volley of a
Mhm.
conversation that you had.
And
So
guys, I'm not Dr. Phil, even though I gotta have a shaved head under this hat. I'm not passing around tissue boxes. I'm not talking to him for 30 minutes, but I am trying to make a really strong connection, a genuine connection. Not trying to be somebody else. Don't try to take my words, but you can borrow my mindset. They need to be your words. They need from your heart. They need to be from your gut. But you can borrow my mindset, my posture. That's something that you can borrow that because I borrowed it from other people. Right? Anything great you ever hear me say, man, all the credit and all the glory and any honor goes to the people that paved the way ahead of me and that I've learned from. I'm just basically a melting pot of information funneled right into my brain and my heart, and I just come through with my own genuine self and any of that.
I love it. So you've grown into this. Like, there's a copycat business, those that paved the way before us. However, there's also
Thank
the
you.
work that we put in to it as well. What are some of the things like um maybe what book has been most impactful? And y'all, as Rex kind of talks, I want you to throw in questions you have for him for sure. But we all know the power in growing ourselves and reading. But what are some of the ones that have impacted you the most?
Yeah, for me, the first book I ever read in the business was Go for No. I didn't come into this as a big reader. I read some sports stuff. As a person of faith, the Bible was a daily thing I read and I still do. But as far as like grabbing self-development or like improvement books, wasn't a big deal for me. So when I heard the other people reading and that was part of their growth journey, I thought, well, hey, man, I want to make sure I'm doing what they're doing. So Go for No is a great book. A little later on in the business. Uh, what's the doing? It's by the Arbringer Institute. Leadership and Self Deception. Leadership and Self Deception. I read that every couple of years, at minimum, just because if I'm stuck, I'm usually in that box. It's either leadership or a self deception thing. Sometimes it's both, right? And leveraging the four cornerstones is really important. I think that's our roadmap for success. It's always one of those four things. If my business is struggling, and this business is directly tied to your life as well, guys. Most of the reasons why we're winning in life is the same reasons why we can win in this business. So yeah, those are two books that I think are the first one's an easy read. You can read it by the weekend. Or if you're like my wife in like 90 minutes. Um, but the second one is a little bit more in depth.
Yeah, that. All right. So Joelle has when scaling to elite producer, what tip or trick helped you optimize your schedule?
Oh man, schedule is one of those things that's non-negotiables. So for me, now I get to do it on Monday after I drop my kids off, but before it was Sunday evening. The wife and I had a standing meeting, basically like right after we put our kids to down, around 9:15. For 30 minutes, we basically just hashed out the week ahead. Like I needed to know places she needed me to be at. Like can I not go to this practice, but I'll go to this game, or can I not attend this, but I'll do this. So I had to get my rocks in place first. You guys ever seen the illustration of like the glass vase or jar where they try to put the rocks in sand, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the first example where they put the sand in first and they try to put the rocks in, it didn't fit. It just ended up like the rocks fell out or there wasn't enough room for the rocks. If you take the time to put the rocks in your schedule, because this business is a big part of my life, Dana, but it is, make it abundantly clear, it is not the totality of my life. It is not, Symmetry Financial Group is not my life. It's a big part of it. Okay? I want to make that clear. So if you put the rocks in the jar first, try it yourself. Science project with the kids. It'll be fun. All right? And then pour the sand. The sand finds whatever room is available and fills it, right? So for me, my schedule was everything. If I knew that I had to have 15 appointments a week, I had to have that blocked by Sunday night going into Monday, for that week during the COVID time where I was running Monday through Friday and working a half day Saturday. When I was running in the field, I was dialing Friday, Saturday, running Monday, Tuesday. That was a Thursday night conversation before I went in the phone team on Friday morning, right? But get with your significant other, your spouse, whoever it is that affects your schedule on a weekly, right? And you've got kids, you've got pets, you've got things going on. I get it, right? I think Courtney has me beat by double amount of my kids versus her pets. So she's got me beat there. But everybody's got something going on that's busy. You don't have to drop the ball. You don't have to be a loser at home to be a winner at work. That's not how this works. If you get your rocks in there and you stay flexible with the sand, you'll find a way to still book 12 to 15 appointments and attend the things that matter. And then you'll have balance and harmony in your life. That's how you can go 10 years, Dana, and not get burned out in this business.
That's huge. And
I've
and
been I've been blessed to average over a quarter million for 10 years in a row now in this business. And that's not working 80-hour work weeks. That's not missing anything, but it's also working when I plan to work and playing when I plan to play, right? So that's important.
I think remembering we all work hard for our families, versus, just what is that work? You should work to live, don't live to work. And when you have
Yeah.
that balance, and that's what it's a blessing that we have here at Symmetry. We can
Yeah.
have balance. We get to put those priorities and put the family first. So it's exciting we have that. All right. Well, I know that we're right at the tail end, making sure I see. All right, Joel's got another question, but I want you to be thinking through if everybody were to level up, no matter what season they're in, where they are, if everybody were to level up, what is maybe a challenge you would throw out to the Shannon Master? What is something maybe this week that they could walk away and go and implement and try just one thing different?
I would say, what are you shooting for? Like, what's in front of you? If you're at a 90 trying to get your slingshot to 95, if you're at a key leader trying to make it to AO, if you're a top producer trying to make it to a lead producer, heck, if you've never written 10 grand in a month, are you willing to run an extra 4 or 5 appointments a week? That's going to take you a grand total of about 6 hours. And if you're telling me that your future self and your future goals for you and your family are not worth an extra 6 hours a week, then you probably should do yourself a favor and just hop off the call. I mean, let's be honest. You got to be able to find that extra time, right? Um, and Joel's second question about the placing 30,000 is simply knowing your numbers, Joel. Like I knew that it took me 22 hours a week to be able to write 7,500 in production, right? I worked that down to a science where it used to take me 34 hours a week to write 5K, right? So the numbers, when you know the numbers, you can scale from there. So then I was like, okay, cool. That 7,500 can get me to elite producer. What can get me to, well, I don't know. They don't come up with a name for 100K people, whatever the case may be. But like, what do I need to do to get there? And it was simple. I knew that the math. So I knew that if I worked roughly 50 hours in a week, I should average about 24 to 26,000 in production. That's exactly what happened. It wasn't magic. It was just using data and just replicating what I was already doing.
And it called Golden Cup. I'm gonna say that's where y'all were all the 100K people. Y'all are in that. You were what? A second? Like it's crazy. Um, I love that. Like just literally, and the same thing you said is the more you do, like you said, 34 hours to make 5K. And as you got better, what did you say? 22
22
hours
hours
for
for that.
7,500.
Yeah,
It
that was
is
my
the
average.
belief. Numbers, what is it? Sean always says, numbers don't lie
Nope.
when you know the numbers.
Yep. And somebody asked what time, Mallory asked what time you call your leads. If I'm working traditional A leads or call ins, the mortgage protection, or even if I'm calling through general life people that quit texting me, I like my favorite times to call are 9 to 12 and like 4 to 7. 9 to 12, I'm catching a lot of the second shifters or retired folks, or heck, even some third shifters that just stayed awake, right? And then 4 to 7, I'm catching all the 8 to 3, the school teachers, or the 9 to 5 folks. I may even dial as late as 7:30 that evening. Saturdays, I love to do 9 to 12, 2 to 5. I find out for me personally, after 5 o'clock on Saturday, everybody's heading to the restaurant or heading somewhere. A lot of folks get success on Sundays, like 2 to 4, 2 to 5, like catching people between church if they go to church or before they head out for the evening, wherever the case may be. There's never a wrong time to dial, but that 9 to 12, 4 to 7 has been pretty consistent for me for years. Fridays is a favorite time of me to dial because Fridays, people that work 9 to 5 jobs are happy. They're getting ready to get paid to leave a job they hate, right? So I can usually catch them in a better mood on a Friday or a Saturday morning. Um, yeah, you can still do the traditional schedule too. You can dial Friday, Saturday, run Monday and Tuesday, and build your team on Wednesday and Thursday, right? So that's still on the table for all of us because we're in a virtual world now.
So track your numbers, know your numbers, see what works. If 9 o'clock here in Beachland doesn't work, but it works down there in Carolina, then go with what works, and then maybe 10 o'clock is your sweet spot. But the more I tracked what hours, how many people, and I started finding the sweet spots just like you did. So I think the same answer you told Joelle is the same thing that I would turn around and tell Mallory. Track your
Yeah.
numbers and learn your area.
And
And
get a
it
head start
might
too.
be
If you guys have phone teams or like Zoom rooms or like work rooms, war rooms, with it's cool getting on a bunch of agency calls. learning what people call these rooms nowadays is pretty neat to hear. But like go into those rooms flush. Like if your dial session for your master agency or your AO team is like Fridays and Saturday mornings, Friday afternoons, get in that 2 to 3 hours on Friday morning, get yourself 4 or 5 appointments going into that so that you're working from a place, you're working from a full cup, right? If you can work from a full cup, it's way easier than working from an empty cup. And I want to stress that as well, guys. Find something outside of this business, okay, that you could do every single morning that brings life to you. Whether that's yoga, reading, working out, journaling, reading, praying, whatever it is, find something you can do every day for 20 or 30 minutes before you start your day. I get it. You got kids, all that stuff. Just wake up a little bit earlier. I promise you it will be worthwhile. Okay. Because it's impossible to pour from an empty cup. And if you think your skill set can outweigh your energy, you're lying to yourself. It'll never happen. Right? Like, I consider myself to be really good at what I do because I put in the hours. I probably have way more than 10,000 hours at this point, right? I'll probably pass that a long time ago. But even me by like 1 o'clock, and I was like, man, what's going on? Things are not clicking today. And I realized, dude, you didn't journal, you didn't work out today, you slept in because you stayed up and watched a game last night of a team you didn't even like, and it went into double overtime, right? So know yourself to lead yourself, but man, I can't stress that enough. You can do all the things right, but if you're pouring from an empty cup, it's not going to help you. Do something that brings life to you so that you can bring life to your business. Say that one more time. Do something that brings life to you so that you can bring life to your business. Because it's your business, right? And in order for it to stay in business, you got to have joy, you got to have energy.
Y'all, I mean, you heard it. I mean, Rex literally just gave you a blueprint tonight. Find that one thing. Is it filling your cup to increase your energy? That in itself is just from the inside out. Is it elevate your posture? If you find that there's something you don't know, lean into that. Just get that much better at that one thing. There's just been so many nuggets tonight, Rex. I love it. So you've laid that out for everybody. And here's what I do know is information without any kind of action is just entertainment. Rex did not get on here to entertain you people. I promise you that. So I love it because the real winners on here, they're going to lean in, they're going to turn around and not just take good notes, turn around and implement from what you said. So I that's very exciting that you have that skill set and would spend a Wednesday evening on here with us tonight. And so I want to say thank you and I'd love to have you anytime. Looking forward to hopefully getting to see you down in Lumberton June 20th. Y'all, anybody else have anything? If not, make sure you give Rex a big old hand for being on here with us tonight. Really
Yeah,
appreciate
Rex,
you.
that was golden, Rex. Great job.
Yeah, thanks, man. Dude, you rock the house as always, buddy. Love you, man.
Thank
Thanks, David.
you.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks. Yeah, absolutely. Hey guys, if I don't see you beforehand, come and find me at conference. I want you to do me this favor. Okay? Find me a conference and let me know what you decided to do that scared the crap out of you, but you did it anyway. Okay? Like in this business, whether it was like you told yourself some lie somewhere along the way that you could never be a leader, but you hit key leader. You told yourself some lie along the way you didn't deserve to make 10 grand a month, but you made 12. You bought some lie or somebody else's belief of you or somebody else spoke over your life and you somehow accepted it and you told yourself you can never write 20 grand in a month and you did it twice. I want to hear that from some of you. I may not remember your names, but I'll remember your faces. I want you to come tell me that. And I want to leave you with some encouragement as well. Respect everyone, but don't never let anyone speak into your life unless you're willing to trade lives with them. Okay? Respect everyone, but don't let anyone speak into your life unless you're willing to trade lives with them. Okay? And there's nothing in this business that you won't figure out. Again, if you don't get in front of 100 people in 100 days, I don't want to hear any noise about, hey, but this objection, did you do the work? Did you do the work? Did you put in the reps? Right? And if at the other end of that, you can go to Dana, you can go to Courtney, you can go to David, you can go to Sean and say, hey, I sit in front of 100 people in 100 days and I didn't make any money. Guys, be proud of that and move forward with your life and find something else that you're passionate and talented at. But until you've put in that max effort where you can look yourself in the mirror and you can say, I gave it my 100% best, I was on the conference calls. I plugged in. I did the activity reports. I did the coaching up. This isn't a good fit for me. Guys, you're going to come to find more times than not, you're going to win if you do those things. You're not even going to need to have that conversation. But if you look in the mirror and you didn't give it the best effort, you gave your employer 40 hours a week for 10 years, but you came here and made $300 and quit. Come on now. Shame on you. You can't do that. Don't cheat yourself. It matters that much. Because one day you'll get a random call from a person like Jordan Hunt that says, hey, man, we'd love to have you for our master agency LGA box suite Charlotte Hornets game. Just come. And then I go to my wife and say, hey, guess what? There's some of the ladies and their kids are going. Why don't you and the kids join me? I didn't have to ask my boss. My kids are in a hybrid school, which means they're basically like a private school experience. So as long as they get their work done, they're not kind of late. So we just threw everybody in the SUV and drove to Charlotte and stayed overnight, come home. You can't do that if you're having to ask somebody else's permission because you couldn't figure out a way to work for yourself because you really want to work for yourself. Why does 95 out of 100 people say they want to work for themselves, but only 5% of the people do? They're not willing to be consistently disciplined long enough to get through the suck to spell success for themselves.
Yeah. You want to keep asking your bank account for permission, or do you
Yeah.
want to suck enough to get good?
Yep,
Love it.
for sure. For sure. Yeah, I'll be quiet.
No,
Appreciate you
don't.
guys.
I mean, I shoot, you
No,
can keep on
yeah,
going. I
hey.
know that we normally slated 45 minutes, but I think everybody's loving this because I haven't seen anybody dropping off any nuggets. But man, we love you. I'm excited, and you're just so casually posture, like it's just you're awesome. Thank you for being on here. Y'all give it up. Definitely the real
Pleasure.
GOAT, Rex. And like you said, don't dare get in his presence without turning around and saying, I did the one thing that felt impossible because I'm possible. Go show Rex. You're possible, people. You totally are. I love
Awesome,
it.
guys.
Thank you,
Have a great one.
Rex.
Take
Have
care,
a
guys.
blessed night. I don't have to stop. Well, hopefully you
Thank
guys
Dana.
enjoyed
That
that.
was awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. That was awesome.
And just
Yes,
get to
thank
know
you.
him, be around him. Courtney just got to go to Italy with him. Did y'all get to hang out a little bit there, Court, while you were together?
We did. I actually spent a lot of time with Rex. He's great.
Love it. All right. Well, you guys have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Dana. It
you,
was
Dana.
awesome.
See ya.
Bye.